Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to present to you today the Wisdom Information System. Wisdom is the name of a water-related information system for the sustainable development of the Mekong Delta. It is a research project which has been funded by the German Ministry of Education and Science. It involved many Vietnamese and German and partner institutions working together to develop an information system for the Mekong Delta. This information system was designed by the German Aerospace Center, DLR. It is an online information system that helps with water management in the Mekong Delta. You can use different types of browsers to visualize and work with the system. You can use Mozilla Firefox, or Google Chrome, or Internet Explorer, just to give you a few examples. I will now start the system using Mozilla Firefox, and we start here to enter the information system. So, now we are here at the entrance portal of our information system for the Mekong Delta. And as you can see, this entrance portal consists of three parts: a general login area, an area where you can see that there is a vast amount of data available for the Delta, thousands of data sets for the different provinces of the Delta, and a description of a wisdom system. One special thing about the system is that it is available in 2 languages. Our system speaks and understands English, and our system also speaks and understands Vietnamese. So if you're a user from Vietnam and you would like to use a system in your mother tongue, you can click here at Tieng Viet, and you get all the information, and of course the whole system in a Vietnamese language. I will present the system in English because I do not speak Vietnamese, so I switch back to English. The first things that you have to do if you want to use a system and you have never used it before is to register as a new user. So you click here, Register as New User, and you're asked to fill out an online form and say, okay, I'm a professor or doctor or whoever, and you fill in your name and your organization, and you can define a password and your email account, and you save all this information as a new user. I will not create a user account now because I already have one, so I cancel everything here, and we will proceed with a login process. I'm typing in an email address, I'm typing in my password, and then I say login. Now I am inside a Wisdom Information System. As you see, you are first greeted, and then you have a chance to watch different movies about our project. But at the moment, we're not here to watch movies, so I will instead directly guide you through the main features of a Wisdom system. The first feature we have here is a Map Explorer. This is a central element of a Wisdom Information System. You can see that the Map Explorer consists of 3 different elements. Here is an overview map where you can see where you are located. We are here in the south of Vietnam in the Mekong Delta. Then we have a map viewer where you can view your map. In this case, we have a nice satellite image of a Mekong Delta with the arms of the Mekong River entering here into the ocean and different seas displayed. And we have here a legend area where we have information about what type of data is displayed. For example, we can switch cities on and off whenever we want. But of course, this is not really the most important information for you. We have here a navigation bar where you can use different tools. For example, this panning hand to move around in a map viewer and to move the data around. And we have a chance to zoom in and to zoom out. I will do this right now, but I will not use this very simplified zoom tool, but I'll use instead this tool that allows me to draw a rectangle around an area I want to zoom into. An area of my personal interest, which is here, the city of Can Tho, in the Mekong Delta, where over 1.5 million people live. I've opened a box, and I'm located in the Can Tho city area. I have a chance to use here different measurement tools. For example, I can measure here via click into the map and get the coordinates of a point of interest inside the map. I can measure the length of a line, so I can measure, for example, the length of a street or the width of a river. And I also have a nice tool that allows me to draw a polygon to measure the area of something I am interested in. I will do this now because I want to know how big this city area of Kanto is. You can see the city area of Kanto as this reddish area here in a satellite image, where there are settlements and houses. So, I activate this tool, and then I can easily draw a very simple polygon. Just very roughly for now, as a demonstration to see. Okay, so how big roughly the city area of Kanto is, and the system tells me it is 12 square kilometers. I can turn this tool off again, and now I also have a chance to load different types of maps as a background. You can see now that we have this green satellite image type of background map all the time, but I can also choose other maps as background maps. So if I click here at Load Maps, I can choose between this satellite base map as a background map, or a very simplifying kind of greyish base map that only gives me country borders and large water bodies. Or I can add OpenStreetMap to this viewer. I'll do this now. So I activate the street map, and I'm already in here. You can see that this data contains a lot of information about roads, about infrastructure, and facilities. And I will now zoom out a little bit because I'm not so interested in all those details. So, this data could also be used as a backdrop in a system. However, I will delete this now because I don't need the OpenStreetMap backdrop now. I can either switch off a topic or remove it fully by just clicking at it and putting it into the garbage can. Now you can see some general information about Kanto. But maybe that is not so interesting for you. So I would like to show you how you can add meaningful geodata and information into this map viewer. To do that, you go to our Dataset Explorer. The Dataset Explorer is basically like a shopping warehouse for the data that you would like to find. You can specify the data that you want to have according to different kinds of filters. A time filter, which allows you to define the time range you want for your data or the information you're searching for. You can choose a region of interest, you can choose a topic of interest, and you can choose a certain data type. So, for example, I'm interested in Mekong Delta data. So click on the Mekong, and I'm especially interested in the province of Kanto. So I'm going here to the Kanto area, and let's say I'm interested in a hydrology product, but not from the 1980s. Let's say from within the past, maybe 15 years. So let's say something like since 2003, the last 10 years. So I narrow in my search with this time filter, and now look what is happening here. For hydrology, all these kinds of numbers will be updated. So we narrow in our return. Now I would like to know what the current flood extent in Kanto is. Which areas are flooded, which areas are covered with water. Geoscientists use the word inundated. Since this is a hydrologic topic product, I click here hydrology, and then I am offered different types of hydrologic topics, like flood scenarios, soil moisture, water quality, and I'm interested now in inundation monitoring. Now the system tells me that it has data for both water depth and water distribution. Let's say I'm interested in water distribution. So click at water distribution, and as a data type, I would like to have a remote sensing derived product for water extent or water distribution. So I activate here the remote sensing data products, and I get returns showing different information products available. derived from different satellite sensors. I would like to have a flood mask, a so-called water surface product derived from a German satellite, TerraSAR-X, which has resolutions of up to 1 meter. So here, I activate TerraSAR-X, and now you can see the system returns to me a lot of data. It found 112 data sets for recent flood masks derived with a German satellite, TerraSAR-X. If we mark one of these products, I will choose the first one in a list here. You can see it is very recent. It is not even 2 weeks old. When I mark this product here, the first thing I get is a preview of this dataset, and I get a short description of the dataset, and I also get a point of contact, so I know who has generated this dataset, and whom I can ask if I have questions. But you can see from the preview that this particular dataset is not very interesting, because it does not have a lot of flooded areas. We have a river here, it is a dry season, so we don't see much water. Maybe we should choose a different dataset, and not this dataset here from a dry season. So I would choose a dataset from a rainy season that I would like to add to the viewer. I choose this product here for the 10th of November. So if I activate this scene from a rainy season, you can see that there's a lot of flooded areas shown on it. Now I can load this product into my map viewer, but I would first like to show you another very key feature of a system. Every dataset that you find in a system can be downloaded. So if I click here at its download button, I can, or you can, retrieve this dataset and save it on your own hard disk. So I click the download button. You can see here that the system is doing something, and what is happening is that the data is being packed for you in a zip archive. This is happening here. So you get a zip file containing a data, and you can save it to your disk or any other place you like, put it on your computer. I will not save it now, so I cancel here, but it is a very important feature. All the data in our system, all the information it contains, can be downloaded. Now I add this water mask to the Map Explorer. I have chosen it, and I say, add one data set to your Map Explorer. So it has now been added. I go back to the Map Explorer, and you can see that we now have here an inundation product. We have inundated areas on top of our green satellite background map. I can switch this water mask on and off. You can see which areas are flooded. There are mostly rice fields to the north of Kanto, for example, so we have here inundated or flooded fields. Switch on, switch off. This is a very nice little feature, but actually this might not be enough information. Now you know what areas are flooded, but you might want to know, okay, exactly which surface types are flooded, what land cover types. So you might want to add another data set to this Map Explorer to kind of intersect those two data types, flooded areas and land cover. So I load up an up-to-date land use map derived from Earth's observation data for this area. I go back to the Dataset Explorer and now narrow down my search. I'm not interested any longer in the topic of hydrology, but I'm still interested in a remote sensing product. And the topic I'm interested in now is land cover and land use. Land cover and land use are usually derived from optical satellite data. So I must also delete the filter for TerraSAR-X radar data. And now you see that I get a return for the different land cover and land use products. I activate this product here. Let's say I'm interested in a land cover product, and in this specific case I'm especially interested in a product derived from a Rapid Eye satellite. So we now see that we have one land cover classification result here. Pretty recent, not even 2 years old, and again if I check this little product I get a preview, so I can now add a very nice land use, land cover map to the Map Explorer. And just like before, this dataset could also be downloaded. Now, I'm adding this data set to the Map Explorer. I go back to the Map Explorer, and you can see that we now have this beautifully coloured land use product inside of our Map Explorer. I can also look at a legend for this product. So I open a legend, and then I can see okay, the green areas are rice fields, the reddish area are artificial and dense urban areas, there's water, and so on. I close this legend again, and now you might ask, yeah, that's nice, but where is my water mask from before? Your water mask or your flood product is right here, and you can drag it carefully on top of this land cover product. That didn't work well, so I'll do it again. I drag it on top of a land cover product, and now you can see here that this inundated area is now located on top of a land cover product. You can switch it on and off. Basically, this shows you which areas are flooded and what kind of surfaces are affected. Now we are here in this viewer, and you might say, wow, that sounds pretty complicated to me. To first go to this Dataset Explorer and then load everything into the Map Explorer. Can I not have this a little bit easier? And I can give you good news. You can. I will first delete these two products again from the viewer, because we don't need them at the moment. We zoom out a little bit so that we can see the Mekong Delta again fully, and I will show you a very nice tool we have developed. It's called our Questions Answering Tool. This tool allows you to get an answer to your planning relevant geoscientific questions just at one mouse click. You activate this tool by clicking at it, and I will show you what this little feature is all about. This tool has a lot of predefined questions. Things like, when Kanto City were built-up areas expanded or destroyed between 2006 and 2012? Which areas in the Mekong are most frequently flooded? Or, for example, how are flood patterns influenced by the dike system? Many questions can be answered with this question answering tool, like what is the current sediment load along a Mekong Delta coast? So depending on your interest, you can choose one of these scenarios. I want to choose one of these scenarios, the one that tells me which areas in the Mekong Delta are most frequently flooded. This product was derived from a time series of over 50 radar data sets for the past 5 years. So the product helps you to know how often an area was flooded during 50+ observations. I click at this question to get an answer, and now it is loaded into the map. You can see here that the product has been added, showing you which areas in the Mekong Delta are most frequently flooded. And also here you can open a legend, and you can see green areas are not so often flooded, between 0 and 20% of all observation times, while reddish areas, for example the rivers, are flooded much more often, of course. You see here the rice crop, areas of An Liang, and also Dong Tap and northern Kanto. These are areas which are very frequently flooded. And the same is true down here at Khao Mau province, and in neighbouring provinces where agriculture plays a dominant role. So information about flood frequency is yours at the click of a mouse. I now close this legend, and I would like to show you another example of a question and answering functionality. I will also first delete this data set, because again, we don't need it at the moment. I put it in a garbage bin here. And now I look for the questioning and answering tool, which I can find by again activating this little toolbox. Now I'm interested in how settlements are distributed in Kanto City. So I open this scenario and look what I get. I get a very colourful, beautiful map of Kanto City. Very detailed. I can zoom in and zoom out a little bit. I can pan a little and look at what kind of detail is in this data. I can open a legend so I can see, okay, reddish areas are houses, orange areas are large industry-related buildings, green areas are fruit trees, we have water areas and so on. I will close this legend here again, since I don't need it. If you say, yeah, this is a lot of detailed data, but I would really like to know how this area actually looks in reality. Well, we have a little tool which is called the Field Dataset Explorer. The Field Dataset Explorer allows us to visualize how an area looks in reality. If I activate it, I get a lot of little dots in different colors. I zoom out a little bit to show you these different colors. Each dot tells me where pictures were taken. We have a choice of pictures for vegetated areas, non-vegetated areas, water bodies. Let's say you're interested in how it looks in the center of a city. So you choose one of these little guys here. Click at it, and what you get is 4 photographs. You can see that they were taken in the year 2009 towards the north, the east, the south, and the west. You receive the coordinates, and if you would include into the system pictures taken also a few years later, you could see how an area is changing. Of course, there are not only urban areas here in this little tool, so let's choose another feature. Let's choose, for example, a vegetation feature. I will choose this little guy here. And now you can see rice paddy fields. Again, to the north, the east, to the south, and to the west. So how does typical agriculture in the Mekong Delta look? We have just looked at some rice fields. This is a very good time to introduce to you another type of data that we have inside the system, which is a so-called socio-economic or statistical data. Our system does not only include satellite-derived geoinformation, but also a lot of GIS statistical data derived from the statistical yearbooks of Vietnam. So I close this Field Dataset Explorer again because I would like to see some statistical data. First of all, I don't need a city scenario anymore, so I just discard it. I can, for example, just throw it into the garbage bin again. I zoom out a little bit because I zoomed in a little bit too far. So we have here Kanto. This is the area I'm interested in. And I go into the Dataset Explorer looking for some geostatistical data. So how do I find statistical data for Kanto? It's quite easy. First of all, I don't want to look at remote sensing product. So I discard this option, but maybe I'm still interested in land cover land use. But this time, I want statistical data. So I activate here for statistical data. And as a result, I get offered a lot of different data sets here. I'm especially interested in a data set, let's say on animal production, so I can specify the topic further. Here I choose animal production, and here, for example, get this funny data set showing Kanto buffaloes by districts. I can get a map of a buffalo density in this province. I open this data set here, and then I can say whether I like to look at this data set at a province level, at a district level, and I choose a district level here. The data set is available for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. I choose the most recent year, 2004 in this case. Theoretically speaking, I could even choose a different color to display this data set in. But I don't need that, and I will just leave it as it is. I choose to add this data set to the Map Explorer. I do this now. I add it to the Map Explorer. I go back into the Map Explorer, and now you can see here. I zoom out a little bit. We have a nice data set for the different districts of Kanto, which tells us a buffalo density in 2004. How many buffaloes we have per district? Of course, in urban areas there would not be so many, and in rural areas there would be more. So we have a nice little toy for looking at the buffalo density in many places. If this is a data set you might not be very interested in, I will show you another geostatistical data set. I'll go back to the Dataset Explorer. Let's say I'm not interested in animal production, but maybe in rice production. For example, give me all the statistical data for the Kanto area that are related to land cover and land use. And now we all have a look at this product here, agriculture production land. So how large is the area of agricultural production? You would maybe like to see this now at a provincial scale for the year 2010. that is available. We choose this data set, we add it to the Map Explorer, we return to the Map Explorer, and then we zoom out a little bit again. And you can now see here very nicely this product, which is called Agricultural Production in 1,000 Hectares. It shows for each province in all of Vietnam how large the area is that is used for agricultural production. So this kind of just geostatistical data is also part of our system, and I'm quite sure you will find this quite exciting to use. Again, I will discard this product now to show you what is maybe an even more interesting feature. Many of you are interested in the in-situ sensor measurement networks. For that, we have something called the Sensor Toolbox. As you may have heard already in former presentations of our project, we have a large measurement network of sensor stations in the Mekong Delta. Sensor stations in situ that measure water level, pH, salinity, water quality, and so on. I activate these sensors by clicking here at Sensor Toolbox. Now you can, at one shot, see where all the sensors that we have in the Mekong Delta are located. Now I'd like to see what the sensors are measuring. So I select a topic, for example water level and discharge. I activate it. I click here again and choose water level. I leave a time range the same because this is a period of time our sensors are measuring. I can choose between a line chart and a bar chart. I choose here, for example, a bar chart, and I say load. Now with this filter setting, I see all the active sensors that at this moment for the past years have been measuring water levels for us in the Mekong Delta. Zoom in a little bit because again I'm interested in the Kanto region. I can even zoom in a little bit further and look at one of these sensors. You can see here some activated sensors, and I'm interested, for example, in the water level pattern for this little guy. So I click at it, I choose it, and now, on the fly, a bar chart is being dynamically generated from our database. It takes some time because it's an online calculation, and now you can see the water level in meters for the period from January 2012 to just yesterday. You can see here the fluctuations that result from a tidal influence. And you can also see a very large fluctuation that represents the dry season. The rainy season, and now the starting dry season again. This data is very, very useful. It can also be downloaded for your reports. You can download this very chart, so it does not only exist here in a computer. I would also like to show you another type of data, which is so-called water conductivity. Water electric conductivity is an indicator for water salinity, how much salt is inside the water. I choose here electric conductivity, I say load again, and I see which sensors are active. Many sensors measuring salinity, and I move a little bit up here, along the river, to our northern test field of Tam Nong, where we have placed a lot of sensor stations. I zoom in even a little bit more so you can see all these sensors very clearly. Maybe with a mouse wheel. I went a little bit too far. I go back, I zoom out to the mouse again with this minus tool. Sorry, this is a live demonstration. Don't mind that, I hope. Now we are back at the Tam Nong test field. You see all the sensor measurement stations. I would like to know for this little guy what the salinity is at this place. I click it, and again you can see that I have a nice little chart area popping up. Something is being calculated on the fly. It will take a little bit of time, and then we should be able to retrieve a chart that represents electric conductivity at a specific sensor. Something should happen now, but it is taking some time. It's quite a complicated database request. Here is a chart. Thanks for waiting. So you can see here, very high salinity in a dry season, when the ocean water can push quite far inland into the Mekong, and you can also see some little gaps where the sensor wasn't working. Here is a peak of the salinity, and you can also see that this sensor stopped operation in 2011. Now, I will show you some measurements that are more up to date. If we go back to the main study area we used for this online demonstration of Canto, we choose another sensor. Here's our friend from before, but this time we look at water salinity. Also, here we wait until the chart is generated. Usually the system is very fast, but it also depends a little bit on which computer you let it run on and on how fast your internet connection is. So just give it a bit of time and a chart will be dynamically generated. Electric conductivity, again with a peak, and measurements from just yesterday, very recent and up to date. Again, all this data can be downloaded. The measurement station network distributed all over the Mekong Delta not only allows you to look at water levels and conductivity, you can also see organic substances, oxygen, physical substances, temperature. So many different parameters can be derived. I will close this sensor toolbox now because I would like to show you what else is inside our information system. You have seen statistical data, geodata, you have seen the sensor network. I have already shown you how to download the data from our Dataset Explorer and how to download graphics that were generated. But what if you say, I would like to upload some data to the system? Well, you just go here to Data Upload. You're now coming to our Data Entry portal, where you can upload raster and vector geodata. So you click at the first step to get started, and what will happen is you're asked to upload a geodata file. So for any file that you have on your hard drive, you can say, yes, I have a nice file, I have a shape file, a GIS-ready shape file, or I have another kind of GeoTIFF raster-based file which I would like to upload. So you browse on your hard drive and choose a data set that you would have prepared. For example, here we have a little dummy data set, Geodata TIFF. We choose it, we put it here, the data is uploaded, it's done. And now we can upload it to the system, either with a step next, or simply by clicking at metadata, we can go to the next step. Now we have to describe this data. So you enter as metadata, where the data has come from. You can say what the title of the data set is. You can write a short abstract. You can define it in detail. So the data set can nicely enter our system. And then you might want to upload this very data set. We will not show you how to do this now due to time constraint, but it's all very logical. There are steps that guide you, and if you forget something, you can also go back to the previous step and correct something. So that was data upload. But maybe you're also interested in downloading even more data, not only geodata. To do that, I would like to show you a tool, our so-called literature search database. In a literature database, you see that we have a lot of articles, books, proceedings, collections and reports on the Mekong Delta inside the system. And this vast amount of literature is available to you directly from our system. So let's say that you're interested in a certain topic. Let's say that you're interested in the topic of mangroves. You type in the word mangrove in a search field and you search here, and then you get a list of all the 17 articles in our system that are somehow related to mangroves in the Mekong Delta. Here is one published by our colleague Vo Quoc Tuan just recently in 2013 in a journal, Remote Sensing. So you can click at this link to go to this online journal. Now this will take a little bit of time. We are now on the internet, and as you see, you get excerpts of this article. Here you get a short description, and you can also download a PDF full text. We will not show this now because it will take too long, but that paper can be downloaded here. Now go back to the system, and you can see you can also search for an author or for keywords. You'll get a lot of results. Another feature that we have is a so-called contact search. Let's say that you're interested in water or geo-related contacts in the Mekong Delta. We've done an analysis of all the water-related institutions in the Mekong Delta, and you can find them all here. There are a vast number of institutions all somehow related to research or decision-making and planning for water-related topics in the Mekong Delta. And also here, we again have a chance to search for something. So let's say we're interested in finding the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, MONRE. So we type MONRE and we search for it. And we get some returns here. The ministry, and if you activate this area here, you get the address of the ministry, your phone number of the main office, and you get a lot of additional information. You also have a chance to visit their homepage. If you want to have a look at or download other information stored there, if you click at homepage, you come to the homepage of MONRE. It will take a little bit of time because we're now in the internet. You see that we are now online and live on the internet page of MONRE. Okay, I think you already know this website, so we don't have to visit it further. So I'm going back to the information system. If you want to see MONRE's organizational chart, you can click here and you get a recent organization chart. If you would like to look at legal documents that MONRE has issued recently, you can, for example, sort them by date to ensure that you can find the most up-to-date ones. One that we have in the system at the moment is available here. Of course, these can be updated and updated and updated by uploading new data. So we click download here and we receive a legal document issued by MONRE. So there's also a kind of legal document database inside our system. Let's say we are not only interested in MONRE, but maybe also in MARD, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. We type in MARD and we search for it, we click again. As you see, we get some returns for MARD and we activate this here. Again, we get this tree of phone numbers, all kinds of information. We can visit the MARD homepage. We do this quickly since you have already seen how to do it. So now we are in the internet at an external internet web page. You can scroll and now we can go back to our system. Also here for MARD, we have an organizational chart, but we don't need it at the moment. And also here, we can download recent legal documents, sorting them by date. So here's one of the most recent ones. Opening it, we're retrieving an interesting report, which of course you can then save to your own hard disk. So you see the system allows us to search for literature and also for contacts. Now, I have introduced you to a lot of key features of this information system. The Map Explorer, the Dataset Explorer, we have looked at the question answering function, and we have looked at the sensor network and data upload, literature search, and contact search functions. You might find this a bit confusing because there's a lot of information in a short time. Therefore, we have a very nice help menu. If you activate this help menu, you can see that we can retrieve a kind of table of contents, also showing all the different tools that you can use to find information. Here you can see that basically everything I have been explaining to you can be found in detail again in our help menu. Everything here is available for you, and the good thing is it's not only available in English. If you log into the system as a Vietnamese user, then the help will be available in a Vietnamese language. So all this is available in a Vietnamese language, and we're giving live demonstrations of the system, or if we're passing on or handing over the system to an interested administration office, we'll also distribute to you teaching and help material together with the system. Now, as a final step in this system demonstration of a Wisdom information system, I'd like to show you one nice little key feature. And going back to the Map Explorer, one strength of a Wisdom system is that it is spatially more or less independent. We can work with data from the Mekong Delta and for Vietnam, but we can also work with data for other areas. I'll demonstrate this to you now. In the north of Vietnam, we have a so-called Red River Delta. I zoom here, up to along the coast. I am panning along the Vietnamese coast, close to Hanoi. We have a Red River Delta. I zoom in a little bit. Here is Hanoi. The delta of a red river enters the ocean here. And also for this delta, we have data inside our system. For example here, this is a very tip of a delta. It is quite dynamic and many people would like to know what's happening there. So we have also question and answering modalities for a Red River Delta. Here's our question and answering tool. Let's ask, for example, how are settlements, agriculture and aquaculture distributed at one of the Red River estuaries? So we click at this question and a lot of data is automatically loaded for this area. You can see very detailed data from a river mouth. Again, we can open the land use legend. Then we see that blue areas mean aquaculture, reddish areas are settlements and houses, green areas are regions where aquaculture is lying dry. So these particular basins are not currently filled with water. And now, the last little feature that I think you'll really be excited about is that this map viewer can now be exported to a map. You can add to your own map any view that you have found inside this Map Explorer. You can export this information to a map to generate your own reports. For example, you can feed these maps into the quarterly report that you would need to send to your ministry, to your higher authorities. So I can click at export and a map is automatically generated on the fly. I can describe this map. I can say, for example, say Red River Delta. So I type this in, and I could, theoretically speaking, also type in a longer map description. To export this map, see what nice features you get in here, you'll get a PDF map of a Red River Delta with a scale bar, a legend, an overview, and all the information here. And you can now save this PDF, you can print it, you can save it to include later in your reports. So I close this map again. I think this is a very useful feature of a Wisdom information system. You have seen that we are here in a process of developing or finishing the development of an information system for the Mekong Delta. But it can be used for other areas too, like the Red River Delta, which I have just shown you. I am now navigating my way back down to our place of origin, the Mekong Delta. And now finally, I would like to summarize the key features of the system. The Mekong Delta Information System, the Wisdom Information System, has a strength that it contains not only geodata, but also statistical data, literature data, contact search data, and a lot of data on in-situ sensors. That is a first key feature. The second key feature is that our system is available online via the internet, free for everyone to use, and it's purely based on open source technology. So there are no license fees involved. And the third feature is, as you have seen when I was panning on my way here through to the north, the system is expandable to cover other areas, be it the Mekong Delta, the Red River Delta, or other areas of your interest. If you would like to have further information about this nice tool, I recommend that you visit the website of our project, the Wisdom website, which is at www.wisdom.eoc.dlr.de. And this was our introduction to the system. Thank you for your interest.